Julieta.
Yeah, so Pedro Almodovar, I haven't seen any of his films, sadly.
No, me
so
neither,
far.
actually.
I know Joe has.
I've seen Volver and All About My Mother.
Good?
Very good.
Very good. There you
Fair
go.
enough. But fair enough.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you for that. But so, and with Julieta, basically, it's we're starting the present day, and it's sort of a chance meeting with the main character Julieta, who's in a middle-aged with Emma Suarez, and she learns that a long-lost daughter has resurfaced in Madrid many years later, and this begins a sort of reflection on her life as she looks back into her past and realises the consequences of her daughter's disappearance many years ago, and flashing back to the moments of that tragedy and just what went on that defined her current life in Spain, as she still lives in there. She had a relationship with a man that she was moving away to Portugal with. However, she now realises that she's still got connections here, and she wants to find her daughter and cover this all up and make it all up. It's a very sweet film, isn't it? That's all. Overwhelmingly the word that I came out of. I know that was the very first thing you said when we left the cinema as well. It's probably the best you can describe this with. More. It's very sweet. It's obviously melodramatic to a T, as you can imagine this being. It's a heavy mediation on sort of just what's going on with the guilt and the grief that Julieta's going through. It's a great performance by Emma Suarez. I mean, you really do sort of understand the problems that she's going through, because she was sort of, I mean, you get the feeling. It's a film that there isn't a major amount of stuff happening. It's a very sort of quiet film in that sense. But I mean, because of that, it has more power to it, because you really do get to understand more of what's going on in Julieta's mind as you see her sort of slow, sort of just walk into depression. And because I mean, we won't say why her daughter goes away, but I mean, she feels culpable at many points for that disappearance, and she sort of goes back into blaming herself into why that happened, and sort of the depression that generated, and the fact that you're never quite sure whether it was just her overbearingness or certain qualities. Obviously, we can't speak of as spoilers, but the certain aspects of herself that might have forced her daughter away. So in that, it's basically a giant character study of the character of Julieta, because you never really know if she's ended up being a good mother or not, or whether this is indeed her fault, and that's sort of the introspection that you get to see with her character, and you understand a lot more of what's going on through the eyes of her character. You were saying about she's got a very sort of, what was it, a Picasso painting?
Oh, that's not her. I'm talking about Rosie De Palma. Rosie De Palma. Plays I think it's the maid in the house.
Yeah, the maid.
Yeah, she's fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's Almodovar's muse, I think.
Yeah.
Muse.
Oh, there you go.
Muse.
But yeah, it's extremely sweet. It's patient.
Yeah.
And by the end, you don't get all the answers, which I wasn't too sure on at the start. But at the end, sorry.
As we were leaving, I did overhear people saying like it was good till the ending.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm in two minds, because I do like that kind of storytelling when it just sort of it leaves you with answers to unfold yourself. But at the same time, I felt like because it spent so much time on this singular relationship between these two people, that it would have been immensely more powerful if it just had maybe even one more shot near the end, or one more scene near the end. I think it would have had, because of what the story had dealt with so far, it would have been more powerful for that.
I think it implies enough, and it leaves it on a sweet note, rather than divulging in any more than necessary. Have you mentioned that it's played by two different characters? Played by two different actresses?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's the older Julieta, which is played by Emma Suarez, and then Adriana Ugarte plays the younger Julieta. And do you think this sort of look?
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters.
I think the contrast is that Ugarte looks young and Suarez looks old. That's and the way the transition from the actresses, I think, is brilliant. Like that's a good way of doing it. It doesn't just sort of happen suddenly.
Yeah.
You do wonder when she's going through all that depression stuff that she still looks the same youthful person that she does, and then in an instant she's changed in the exact same scene.
It is sort of heart-rending, because you see her as such a strong sort of even-willed character that sort of literally just goes down. Gives up, and it's really sad to see that, but you get a lot of power with that performance, and I think it's a really well told story.
Joe,
definitely.
I know you weren't as fussed.
No, not really. I mean, I was kind of obviously in and out because I was exhausted watching the film. I didn't really find Julieta's character that interesting at the start, but I don't know. I mean, I might give it another chance. I think it's just because literally the night before I came off of All About My Mother, and obviously when you watch that, some of the characters are just like they're amazing. Like,
what's that one about?
It's well, the story is it's basically a woman and it's a woman living alone with her son, and the dad she promises him on his birthday that she'll tell him about who his father is.
Right.
And literally the day the birthday comes, and she says, "Oh, I'll tell you, but first we'll go to the theatre and watch a Streetcar Named Desire."
Mm-hmm.
And then literally two of the stars are coming out, and if I remember, he wants to get the autographs of two of the stars, and then he ends up getting run over and dying, and like it's just like a crazy mixture of that happening, and then her trying to find the father, who turns out is now a transvestite, and it's honestly, it sounds kind of campy, but it's not. It's fascinating. But that amongst loads of other stuff. But yeah, it's coming off of that. That's probably what influenced the.
It seems a lot more simplistic.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. Obviously, it's not saying it has to have like curry and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'll give it another chance one day. But as of yet, didn't really pull me in.
I think it's grown on me. That's what I'll say. Yeah. I think in the moment watching it, I was kind of going like, it's fine. It's okay, but like I think as I've thought about it more and thought about this, it has definitely stuck on my mind. And I'm sort of the same as Joe. I quite like I give it another go. It's beautifully shot. I mean, the colours in the film are like radiant, and it's a Spanish setting. You've got the sort of reds and yellows that really stick out.
And you've got the soundtrack pulling the strings in the background.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely
really
spot on. I mean, we as part of our film studies course been watching a bit of Douglas Sirk, and I really wanted to watch more. Mm-hmm. And I kind of forgot because my mind wanders everywhere, and I felt like this might be the thing that brings me back into it, because it had that sort of melodrama soap opera kind of quality to it, especially. Conversation seems to got a few different characters in it. The scene when Julieta and her daughter's friend meet, it's got a very soap opera feel to it. The sort of encounter you'd see it on Emmerdale or EastEnders.
On Volver and All By My Mother, they both have that like kind of Spanish soap opera-ish feel to it, but it never feels like, oh god, or like it doesn't feel like that. I mean I think it's at the end of All About My Mother as well. You can tell the references because he. I think he dedicates the film to the likes of Joan Crawford and stuff like that, and and all sorts.
There's a reference in this film, isn't there? He says, I forget what it is now. If I think of it, I'll think about it later in the show. But there's a thing where he literally references something that the film references within its own subtext.
He does that a lot. I mean, he does it in All About My Mother. Streetcar Named Desire is referenced like non-stop, and even then, like it's because she if I remember, she comes back and sees the actresses that he wanted the autograph of.
Oh, it's Patricia Highsmith in the hospital. She says the guy who she's dating says like it's a Patricia Highsmith novel, and that's kind of the vibe that it got as well. Julieta, it's interesting. Ryan, recommend?
Yeah, definitely recommend. I think it's a really heart touching story, and you really get into it. I think
Joe?
It's well earned.
Yeah, sure. I mean, watch it and watch all the Almodovar.
I'd say recommend as well. I think it's worth seeing, and
I want to see more of his stuff.
Yes, it lingers.
I know Volver's supposedly the one that's meant to be like his classic.
Volver's brilliant.